So this is the Wyze robot vacuum cleaner, and I've been using this for about 2 months, and here's my review. So the first thing we want to talk about in this would be its build quality. It's really solid and it's kind of heavy. Yeah, I'm not too sure if you could break this, but it could take. So here's the build quality breakdown, and I kind of went in depth. So let's see it from the top view and see if I could explain everything. All right, so this is the Wyze vacuum cleaner, and I'm going to go through the ins and outs of it for you to see. So we'll start by looking at it from the top. There is a power button and then there is a home button. This home button, when you press home, it'll just go straight back home to wherever the charging station is. And this power button, it will either resume or pause the current thing. When you lift it open, you see this, and you can see clearly that I've been using this vacuum for about I guess about a month and a half to 2 months now. So inside here there's this little brush, and this little brush is what you use to, I guess, clean out, right? But I haven't used this brush to clean out anything per se. But they have this little knife edge here, and I believe that knife edge is there that if things get caught up in it, you could just cut it out and pull it. So they knew that it would happen. Yeah, but mine kind of dirty. And then the dustbin and HEPA filter. Wow, yeah. So I'm going to have to clean this out. But the dustbin has a little hole here, and this hole here is where the brushes would spin, and it would spin and it would flick everything inside of the spot right here. So the little brush I saw underneath, it would spin here, spin, and it will show hit everything inside here. And on the back of it is this little filter. This filter here is what the air passes through, because you know a vacuum uses suction, so the air will pass through here, and when the air passes through, it will catch all the stuff and send out clean air as best as it can, right? And then that will pass through the back of the vacuum. So that is the layout of the inside of the vacuum. I'm going to leave this out because I probably had to go and clean this out, right? Now, once that is done, you could now examine the actual vacuum itself and see that there is this big sort of, I don't know what to call it. It's like a command center, like a periscope that sticks out of it. So this periscope thingy here, this seems like this is what is used to map out the surrounding area. And if you look at the map, you will see how it is able to just know what is all around the room, because this thing mapped out the whole place in 5 minutes. And this doesn't spin or anything, but you can clearly see that inside of it there are some sensors or some kind of thing like that. Yeah, so you could, if you look inside of it, you will see like there's a kind of glass-ish sensor inside of it that is used for most likely LiDAR mapping. Now there's another sensor that you can clearly see, which is the one in front here. This one here is another sensor, and this sensor more than likely is going to look for obstacles. So I'm guessing that the one on top is for mapping, and this one here is for actual cleaning and obstacles. Now watch very carefully. This part here moves and it compresses. So anytime it bounces into something that's strong enough, it will bounce and realize, okay, I hit something. Bounce, I hit something. Bounce, I hit something. So what I've seen it doing is that it bounces, hits something, and then it will turn and try to get this sensor to see, okay, what did I hit? And when it turns and it sees something, it will bounce back the LiDAR sensor, and then it'll figure it out, and then the algorithm updates. There's the coolest part of it, because it is able to figure out where the obstacles are and update automatically. So that's the two sensors that you have here, this hits and this one on top. Now at the back, these two silver connectors here, these literally connect to the charging port, and the charging port or the charging station or the base station will literally just make contact with these two. Once contact is made, it will say charging automatically, and it figures out how to line up these two parts with the charging station like crazy. If you watch a clip of it, you'll see that this one will line up with the charging port, figure out where it is, and then it will just automatically back up and touch make contact with these two. Now, when it makes contact, it will start to chat. Underneath now, you have this brush that spins. Now, this brush here is detachable, so I could take it out like this. Don't worry about the dust, because as I said, I've been using this thing. It will spin around. Now, you can see that I clearly have some stringy thing that got caught up on the edge here. It looks like hair, right? So all of this here would have been wrapped up because this thing spins over and over. So you could disconnect this, clean it out. Look, I have some more stringy things here. Again, I warn you, strings are your enemy. So once you could disconnect this and just put it back in, clean it out and put it. But I wanted to show you all that it was actually used. Now you can see here that there are scuff marks because it hits the ground sometimes, depending on if you have uneven ground or if you go from a higher location to a lower location, it will hit the ground like that. What's this? I never checked this. Wow, I have no idea what that is for, but let me just cover it back, right? Now this here, the brush, this spins like that, and as fast as it spins, you can see it clearly is going to spin, touch the ground, and then it's going to send the dirt to the thing. So both of them spinning will now work in tandem because they will spin, brush the dust into it, and then it will pick up the dust automatically. And that's how it goes there. Right, this is kind of like a very, very slow motion of what the vacuum actually does. Good. Now, one of the coolest things that I didn't realize until this was that the wheels, right? The wheels press down or go up. So watch this. You press it down. That means it will get really, really low to the ground. And then one could go up and then one could come down. So if you have uneven floors, these two wheels have sort of like suspension, whatever you call it. Yeah. And it is able to balance depending on where it's driving on. So if you're driving on uneven ground, it will angle accordingly. This came in handy when I was trying to clean around the fan and I was trying to, like, you know, basically eat up the fan, but it couldn't work out too well. So it looks something like this. And it goes up and down. And that's basically the mechanics of this machine. And the build quality on this thing is solid because it's really heavy. Wow, I got the table kind of dirty here. It's really heavy, but you could see that it's heavy because it stays to the ground solid and nothing could really bounce it or push it away. So it's strong. And I'm not gonna lie, like every day when we wake up, this thing cleaning 1 o'clock in the morning for about, I don't know, half an hour. Every morning when you wake up, the ground doesn't feel dusty. You can walk around the place easily. And the mats that it passes on, it also cleans up the mats too, because the mats aren't dusty because every day they are actually getting cleaned or vacuumed in this case. And your mats don't have to be, you know, you had any, like, is that to take your mat outside and beat it on the fence? You don't have to do that because this was cleaning up all the mats for me and I was really happy about that. So that's the build quality fit. So we'll go more into the other parts of the video and I'll show you some clips about how it looks. So apparently there's a sensor here, there's a LiDAR sensor here, and there's another LiDAR sensor here. And the touch sensors, they allow you to feel where you're bouncing or going around, and it maps out the room based on these sensors. The first thing that happens when you set up the vacuum is it tries to map out the room. So it will spend 5 minutes just driving around and spinning in circles. And if you look at the app, you'll see the app just starts to populate with this kind of map layout. Basically, everywhere there's an obstacle, you'll see a green dot, and where there is no obstacle, you will see like a dark green background. And wherever it's driving, you'll see a white line. So from the time the map is set up, it starts cleaning by going around the edges first, so it basically creates a border. When it creates the border, then it will start to go inside and start to move up and down, up and down, up and down. And if there's an obstacle, it will try to go up and down, around, and then up and down again. So the algorithm is pretty solid in my view. So here's a sample of what it looks like when it's moving up and down. And this is what it looks like on the app when you see the map. And you will see the lines going up and down also. So you can literally watch the app itself and see that it's moving wherever it is. And This is good, especially when you're away from home and you put it to work while you go away or something. You'll be able to check to see if it's cleaning properly or where it is at the exact point in time. And more than anything, the reason you would use the app is when there's an error, it gives you a notification one time. Because a lot of the time there are errors, and the errors are usually because things get stuck in it. So with respect to the algorithm, it's definitely not a random motion. It doesn't just zigzag all around hoping it picks up things. You can clearly see there's a method to this thing cleaning up and down. Just like if you were sweeping a room or if you were mopping, you would sweep a particular area, then you'd sweep the next particular area. And this algorithm seems to know how to do things efficiently, but thoroughly more than anything. Now in terms of strength, right? This thing is capable of pushing things around because it's very solid. So if there are some chairs that are very light that are around you, or you have certain things that are not as fixed to the ground as others, this will push it away. So I've seen this with slippers, I've seen it with dustbins, I've seen it with boxes on the ground. It will literally consider your obstacle only if you are able to push this thing in. If you're able to push this part in, let me see if I can demonstrate here. If you're able to get this to push down, that's when you're considered an obstacle. But if you can't get this to push down, it will push you down. So that's the thing about it. It's really strong. So anything that's not fixed to the ground is going to get pushed away. And I experienced this specifically with my green screen background, right? I have these stands on my green screen, and the stand's not particularly strong. They're very flimsy. And whenever it was cleaning around the green screen, it would push the stand around just like it was like a child. Why I think it would push these things around is because those things are lower than the sensor. So if the sensor can't pick it up, which is this sensor in front here, if the sensor can't pick it up, then it wouldn't think that it's an obstacle. So it's one of two things will determine if it's an obstacle. If you could push this down, or if this sensor in front here picks you up. That's when it kind of determines if it's an obstacle or not. But other than that, it doesn't really care. It will push you out. So here's a look at the app and the cleaning algorithm, and you will see literally as it moves, you will see the dot going up and down, and the white line will just keep filling up the spaces. And at the end of it all, you can see the exact path that it took. And you could go in the history of the app and see all the parts that it took and where it did clean and where it didn't get to clean because of obstacles or whatnot. Now, there are these things called no-go zones or safe zones or something like that. Not a safe zone, but a zone that you're not supposed to go to. So you could put this red block, and the red block will stop the vacuum from going to that particular zone. It will see that, well, I've been told not to go there, and it will just drive up like there's an imaginary fence and then avoid that spot and go along the lines. So it knows the zones very well, and you also see this with the rooms. When you set a room, even though there is a clearing in front of it, there'll be like this imaginary line because you put a cutoff point to say, okay, this room ends here. As if you have a very open house, you'll be able to see, okay, I want to cut off here because this is a room that I want to clean specifically, and it follows the orders very well because it doesn't go roaming while. Now, for the battery, you may wonder, okay, is it going to die while it's in the middle of cleaning? Well, there are two things that I've noticed. One is that the battery doesn't die. This would clean 350 something square feet of area and still have 60% of the battery left because, I don't know, the battery is really strong. But there was one time I purposefully ran down the battery, just cleaning to see what would happen. And once it reached like about 7%, you'll start to get warning messages on your phone. But if it hits like about 5%, it will be like, okay, we can't continue cleaning, returning to charge. It will return to charge up for about 30%. Now, I don't know if it did 30% because it knew how much it still had to clean, or if it was just 30%. But it will charge up for a little bit and then start back all by itself, and you don't have to manage it. So battery life is not really an issue because it knows what to do. Now, in terms of dust collection and cleaning, there is a HEPA filter and a dustpan on the inside. And this dustpan will collect the dirt. I would have showed you all it at the start of the video. And it would spin and all the dirt would go inside. Now, in my experience, because I'm currently doing construction on my house, there's a lot of dust that would come in from outside. So almost every 2 days, I have to clean out my vacuum cleaner. But I don't know what it will look like for a house that is generally clean. But the good thing is, Once it cleans, it's clean. But if you don't clean the filter, what will happen is, just like a normal vacuum cleaner, when it gets full, air can't pass through the back. And when air can't pass through the back, which is like right here, this is where the air passes through the back, right here. So the air will come out here, and if air can't pass through, then the suction will be poor. So you need to clean it fairly regularly, like every 2 days, every 3 days, depending. But as I said, my case is a little different because I have a lot of sand and dust and cement and whatnot coming in from the outside. So every 2 days, I would just clean out the filter, and it was cleaning properly every day. The days that I didn't clean out the filter, you could really feel that the ground wasn't as clean as it was the day before, because more than likely it wasn't, the bin was full. Right, so the issues now. Some of the biggest problems that I would have had was stringy things. So anything that's like a string, thread, anything that is long and stringy, it is going to get caught in this. Because it's a wheel, because it's a circular motion, it's going to literally go through and wrap itself around. Sometimes the things that wrap themselves around are thin and they don't stop the vacuum or stop it from moving. Sometimes the things that wrap themselves around, they're very strong, they're very big, and they will clog it up and it will stop. And there was even a time I got a pencil stuck in it and it would stick. So keeping things on the floor like cords and wires and strings and woogies and whatever it is, those things will cause the vacuum to freeze, to stop, and you're going to have to deal with it. But the whole point of this is you're supposed to set this and forget it. So that means in order to set it and forget it, you have to kind of think about, okay, let me make sure there's nothing on the ground that will be able to stop the motor from spinning properly. Because you'll have to go and deal with it. Or you'll wake up in the morning and realize that the cleaning wasn't finished because it got stuck under something, under some chair. So now for the good vibes and sour vibes. The good vibes for this, I have about 3 good vibes. One is the app. The Wyze app makes this thing so much easier to use, and you're able to set your schedules, you're able to go through, and it's very intuitive, and it will help you figure out, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it. You set it, and you forget it. Perfect. Second good thing is that this could go underneath chairs. And especially for me, I have cupboards in my kitchen that are elevated, right? So that means there's space underneath my kitchen cupboards where anything could get. So you know for sure food and all sorts of stuff going to find their way underneath there. And to clean out that will always be a pain because you have to literally take a broom and chuck it underneath the cupboard and try to sweep or whatnot. Well, this guy here, or girl, because my family named her Iona, I don't know why, but anyhow, yeah, underneath my cupboards, you could get to them because there's enough elevation for it to be able to go underneath and literally clean underneath there. So I have no worries that there's anything underneath there because I'm sure that Iona picks them up. The third thing is the ability to self-charge and return and continue and all those things that make it really smart. I really love that, especially the cleaning algorithm. It seems like other robot vacuum cleaners, they kind of use a lot of zigzagging and a lot of weird movements to randomly pick up things. But I love the fact that the algorithm on this is very streamlined, it's very clear, and you could see exactly how the cleaning is taking place. And that gives you a little peace of mind because you know that every single night, every square inch or square foot of the floor is going to get touched. Whether or not it cleans perfectly, that's up to how much things you have on your floor. So those are the good vibes. So now the bad vibes. Bad vibes would be, for me, I didn't want to have to clean out the bin every 2 days. But because there's a lot of stuff on the ground by me, I had to clean it out every 2 days. Or else the suction will get really poor. The suction gets poor really quickly. As soon as the bin gets full, this thing not gonna pick up anything. Because like normal vacuum cleaners, the bin has to be emptied. If you don't empty it out, air can't pass through. So I think that cleaning it out every 2 days is a bad thing. Because I would have loved to have it like work for a week. But then again, it could be by me just dirty. I don't know. But that's bad vibes to me because even though it's making me a little lazier because I don't have to actually sweep, And I probably sound like I'm complaining because all I have to do is take out a bin and knock it out, which is going to take me less than 2 minutes. Yeah, but I mean, I wish it could last a little longer. And the next bad vibes would be, well, the price. To get this in Trinidad, well, to get this to Trinidad, I had to order it online. And because of the weight and the amount of taxes, yeah, the skyboxes and the taxes to ship to Trinidad, it costs a lot more money than it would normally cost, because this thing is listed at 300 US, which is supposed to be about 1800. It probably costs almost double that, but I really wanted it. I knew I wanted it. I've been saving for it, so I saved for it and I got it, and now I have it, and I'm really happy that I do, because it makes the peace of mind knowing that the place is clean a lot better. Especially for somebody like me who has a lot of sinus issues. When the place is dusty, I can't function. Well, the place is not dusty anymore because it's getting cleaned out on a daily basis. So this is the Wyze vacuum cleaner, and I highly recommend it for people who don't have time to sweep. If you don't have time to sweep and mop and all that stuff, and you just want the place to be consistently clean, and you don't have things on the ground all the time, like your floors are generally not full of obstacles and things that could get caught in the vacuum, this will just basically keep the whole place dust free for weeks. And you might just have to mop once a week, maybe once a month if you're so inclined, because dust will not pile up. And if you want to order it, you could message in the comments, let me know, and we could organize. So the affiliate link will be on the description of the video, and you could buy it if you want. And if you want to get it ordered for you, you could message and we'll try to order it for you. This is the Wyze robot vacuum cleaner.